G'day everybody, Duckville here. Welcome to a replay we've got from Masters League sent in by our red player here, prOxiShroom. Of course, we had a little game with prOxiShroom just recently where we had a very interesting TvT between him and Mr. Cygnus, I believe it was. Make sure you go and check that game out. It was a little bit of fun to cast that one. But here today on Antigua Shipyard, we're going to be seeing Shroom playing off against a Zerg this time. It's actually Allthreenvan. I don't know, man, we're going to call him all three just because that's easier to say. He's going to be up here at the top sort of leftish side of Antigua Shipyard. So this is, of course, one of the newer maps. We do see this map in GSL as well, in Code A and S, of course, and this is a pretty cool map. I generally am okay with this map. A couple of problems I have with this map, though, are this third base, which can be quite difficult to deal with if you've got if you're against a Zerg and sort of late game, you can lose that sort of third base pretty quickly there with no trouble at all. I suppose, though, late game a third base should be down by then anyway, but it's just it's very interesting to see these third bases so close to the other bases. As you can see, like this third is right next to this guy's base, so it's a little bit weird, but we'll see what happens. Of course, a lot of people do like this map as well. You can wall off this big ramp quite easily as well, and you can then, of course, take the natural expansion that we've got down here, which leaves you to head up on two bases pretty quickly, of course, and Protoss can take it quickly as well with a Forge Fast expansion, and as we can see here, all three is going to take his natural expansion quite quickly as well. So we'll see what these guys are going to get up to today. As I mentioned, these guys are Masters level. I'm pretty sure, like, high Masters. I can't remember exactly, but you can be pretty sure this is going to be an interesting game. I believe it is a bit of a long one as well, as you can probably already tell from the YouTube the timeline bar thingamy-bob as well. But we've got the scouting drone from all three just popping inside the base here, sees the rack switches out just in the front of the natural there for Shroom. But he is going to just scout out what is happening here, just going to peek inside the main base, as we can see, just popping up the ramp there. We'll be able to see that the orbital is on the way, sees the gas, so it's not going to signal that it's a quick expansion at all, but he is going to have to run away from that Marine, because he is going to go down if he's not careful, and the Marine, unfortunately, not fast enough to keep up with the drone, and the drone will maybe escape. He does slip by the racks that is being built here. We've got a second racks on the way, so it could be perhaps some bunker pressure here from Shroom. Not exactly sure, though, because there is that gas, which is probably going to signal that we'll go into something factory based. And of course, this is patch 1.4, where we do have the racks build time actually slowed down just a tiny bit, and in fact, yeah, there it is, perfect, from Shroom actually cancelling the second racks he had being built, putting down a factory along with a reactor as well. So he's going to switch into some reactor tech and probably get some Hellions floating out as well, which are going to try and run around the map and do a little bit of roasting of some Zerglings and perhaps some drones as well. Meanwhile, all three is just sitting here with a decent drone count at the moment. He's currently sitting on a total of 19. Going to have to be a little bit careful, perhaps. Of course, there is that potential threat of the bunker, but it is getting a little bit late for that coming now. So he's probably well aware that that is not going to be the play of choice from Shroom, and in fact, he's going to send up a couple of these Zerglings here. Does run up the top there, sees that there is a reactor on that factory there, and that's going to signal that he is going to need to get either a spine crawler up, perhaps two, or maybe an extra queen. There are a few ways you can defend against reacted Hellions as well. You can do some things with, you can get a couple of spine crawlers out, and you can have one, sometimes two, if you aren't feeling safe about it, or you can get a few queens out if you want to be a little bit more majestic about actually defending it, and get a couple of queens out, utilize them with a little bit of micro, and you can hold off the standard sort of Hellion pressure, which sort of comes from around about 2, sometimes anywhere up to about 6 Hellions. But as we can see here, Hellions now poking inside the natural expansion of all three. He's going to be burning up some of those drones. It looks as if the drones are not really sure what they're going to be doing here, but it looks as if a couple of Lings are getting out there on the creep. They will be quite fast, and they will be roasted up, it looks like, by the Hellions and taken down there. And it looks as if the Hellions will escape to fight another day, just poking around, doing a little bit of damage, just saying, hey buddy, I'm in your face and I'm not getting out of it too soon. But all three doing a decent job, not actually losing any of his drones. As we can see here on the workers kill, we've actually just got one worker killed, and that's actually the SCV, which was killed earlier on. So doing a good job. In fact, putting a spine crawler down here at the backside of the minerals here. This does still get the Hellions can, I think, I'm not actually sure. Can they move past that? I'm not actually sure, but we'll see them just burning away at that spine crawler here. Perhaps going to get us around with those lings. It looks as if they're not going to get surrounded just yet. There's not enough of them to actually take out these 4 Hellions, but the spine crawler does finish. It's got half its health, so it's more than enough to cater for these 4 Hellions, which are still running around causing all sorts of mischief. There's the 5th and the 6th Hellions on the way. And it looks as if a 7th and an 8th are also coming through as well. We've got Stim on the way as well. For Shroom, he's got his natural command center up and running. We'll probably see that switch into the orbital quite soon. 2nd refinery going down along with an engineering bay. Probably going to look to get some tech going. Does look to take out this creep tumor there. Doing a good job scanning that, just taking that out, making sure that the creep progression for all 3 is not going anywhere quick. But it looks as if the Queen is just they're just having a meeting here. They're not actually happy, but that creep tumor was taken out. The spine crawler just poking away there, giving those Hellions that don't argue, and there it looks as if all 3 is actually going to get prepared for perhaps some very heavy Hellion pressure. As we can see, we are up to those 6, and it looks as if the surround is complete here by those lings. Beautiful job by all 3, pushing the Ravens up to the left side, where there is, of course, that spine crawler, which helped in poking away, and now the map control has fallen back into favor of all 3. So he can now run around the map, have a look around, see what expansions have been taken, if any extras have been taken, perhaps a daring move by Shroom to run around and get a 3rd very quickly, but it looks as if he's not going to be in any trouble soon. We get a bunker filled with just the 1 lonely Marine, a couple of them still hanging off to the side. There they go, they're going to have a bunker party, but it looks as if Shroom now going to switch into something a little bit more standard. Perhaps we'll probably see some bio with maybe just, or perhaps a tank style. It looks as if we've got 4, how many is that in total? 5 racks are up in total. We got a couple of reactors here as well. This is probably, yeah, this looks like it's going to be a Marine tank from Shroom, so he's going to be able to get a lot of DPS out with the Marines once they're all out, along with the massive firepower of the tanks to take care of large swaths of units as well. But the Spire is on the way here from all 3. He's going to be getting out some Mutalisks, I would assume. Going to use them for pressure, of course. A lot of players think that you sort of need to get like 50 Mutalisks and then just, you know, attack straight in and just do a 1A. If you get, you know, anywhere up to 10, anywhere up to sort of 15 mutas, and you can keep that sort of flock of mutas just floating around the map, that is actually worth more in some ways, because it means you can poke around, keep the Terran inside their base. If you can harass these add-ons for the buildings, if you can take out the odd supply depot or 2, it means a lot. And if you can do that sort of style, it's a really good way to play as a Zerg. But it looks as if all 3 is going to head out to try and find a new home for this drone. Looks as if he is going to try and take this particular base here up at the 12 o'clock. It is going to be quite a distance away. Of course, the issue he has is taking this base, as we mentioned right at the start of the game. Taking this particular base is a little bit daring, because you can pop up a couple of tanks across here on the ridge and then just start ferrying units across. Like, you put down 1 more tank here, it's covered by all of these. You put down some Marines over here, it's covered by these when they're back up in the corner. So it is a bit of a daring move for Zerg to try and take that particular base. But meanwhile, whilst that 3rd's going up, he's going to give it a bit of covering fire here, running in with these Mutalisks, trying to take out this turret. Not going to be a good idea, considering the turret does a bajillion damage. Takes out one of those Mutalisks, in fact, and now going to try and do some damage on those add-ons. As we mentioned before, if you can take out the odd reactor or something like that, it is really nice to do. Got some lings sitting out the front just to make sure that Shroom doesn't do some sort of crazy run by, but the mutas are getting their +1 on as well, along with a couple more brothers to join the fight. And they will be doing a little bit more harassment soon, I would assume, but it looks as if Shroom is going to be very heavily prepared for this, getting up a couple of turrets just in the middle section of the base here. That's going to give him a lot of defense against all of those Mutalisks that are flying around. There's those extra 2. We do have +1 to weapons on the way for Shroom as well, so he's going to have the extra damage on those infantry units. Taking out one of the reactors, I'm not exactly sure if that was the best idea there, given that we obviously did lose 1 Mutalisk, I believe, was actually lost in that encounter, so not really sure if that was worth doing that for the 1 reactor. But it looks as if a big push is now coming out from Shroom. He has a huge total of Marines here. As we can see, we've currently got a total 52 Marines out on the map. These guys are going to go crazy in just a minute here, as we can see. But also, there are 16 Banelings for all 3. Once he gets actually into the base of all 3, he's going to have to deal with a lot of banelings which are about to morph in here. There they are. He does scan and sees that they are on the way. The Mutalisks are trying to just poke around, trying to take out the tanks if they can, but the tanks are well protected by all of these Marines here. Taking a shot at one of those Ravens a little bit, sorry, at one of the Hellions there, actually just a little bit daring with all those Marines in the fray. But it looks as if he's just buying some time perhaps to get some more banelings up and running. We'll have a quick look at the production tab again. We've got 4 more wings on the way. A couple of Mutalisks as well are about to pop out. But obviously the key to this particular battle from the Zerg perspective is to try and use the Mutalisks to take out the tanks and use the banelings to squash down all of those Marines. Now we'll see how All3 is going to try and engage this. It's obviously not going to be the easiest thing to do, but it looks as if Shroom is just poking out to make sure that the third base is not there, and he actually, obviously seeing that the base was not there, he's now going to pull back. Very smart move there from Shroom. You don't really want to commit, especially when something like this is rolling along, because now he's going to have a little bit of trouble dealing with this if he doesn't siege up, but he does siege. Looks as if a couple of these Lings are going to get slaughtered by the siege tank from afar, and they do go down, but it looks as if good attack, good play, in fact, in general from both of these players here, just pulling back at the right time, not overcommitting to the attacks. The one thing that has gone right here for Shroom is that he has actually forced a lot of units to pop out for All3, and as we can see from All3's perspective, this base is only just getting a couple of drones up and running, so that's not optimal for him at all. Now what Shroom is going to do is try and get this third base up and running. Did try and get a couple of turrets up here to make sure that it's defended from the Mutalisks, but it looks as if a Zergling had a little bit of fun here, taking out one of the SCVs, building a turret. Looks as if we're going to have 3 in total, which should be enough to hold off this particular flock. Obviously, you'll need to repair the turrets if you can when they are being attacked by this big group of Mutalisks, and it looks as if he is going to try and come in here and take out some of these. There is one lonely turret on this side, getting shot at by the second one across to the side as well. Does take one of them out, takes a third out that was actually in construction as well, but Shroom is now being very careful with where he's pushing. He's got a lot of Mutalisks to deal with back at home. They are taking out all of the tanks, as we can see, taking out 3. No, he doesn't actually take out the tanks and loses almost every, there it is, every single Mutalisk was lost. What a blunder there by All3, losing every single Mutalisk to this massive, massive group of Marines that are just marching around the map. And they're now going to look to take out the third base of All3. He doesn't know that it's here, but he can certainly assume that it is there. Has now actually checked with the Hellion, and knows that that is definitely going to be something he can pick off with all 63,000 of these Marines. Currently sitting at 161 supply for Shroom, and sitting at 152 for All3. He's going to need to do a bit of damage here. Looks as if these Marines are grouped up a bit. The Lings are actually providing a bit of buffer for the Banelings there, trying to split up these units here. Shroom, he's actually just going to run inside the main base there with no medevacs to actually heal up these units. The stim is causing a lot of damage, and All3 has actually decided that he's actually just going to fall back, because there is no way he's going to bust through all of those Marines before that base goes down. And as we can see, Shroom is now just preparing to head back to base, but he's got a problem at home, speaking of which. A lot of these Lings now coming inside. They're actually just doing a lot of damage there, taking out that leftover tank, trying to get inside the third base here and take out some of these turrets if he can. That'll give the Mutalisks free reign to run inside and actually deal a lot of damage, but he's not going to be able to. These Marines are doing a lot of damage with their +1 to their infantry weapons here. Mutalisks sitting off to the side, actually spotting that these forces are coming through, pulls them out just in time, which is a very good reaction there from All3. But Shroom there again coming out on top, doing a great job of defending his base with those few leftover Marines that he had, and then poking out to take out the third base of All3. But we'll see what All3 is up to. He's got a decent creep spread here. That's one thing he's been doing a fantastic job of, is moving this creep along. As we can see, he's actually more than halfway across to Shroom's side of the base of the map, sorry, and that gives him a huge advantage when he is trying to run around and do the flankings that he is trying to get done. But the problem he has, as we can see, mining off only one base at the moment. And look at all the mineral patches here. These are actually getting quite low, as we can see, sitting on a few hundred for most of these. There is, yeah, in fact, a couple of hundred for most of those mineral patches. That's not going to last very long. Needs to get this third base up and running again and actually get it mining properly. There is a fourth attempt coming up as well. He's currently sitting on 131 supply, which is just absolutely nothing compared to all of these Marines here from Shroom. It looks as if he's gone very, very Marine heavy here. There are 19 Banelings, 6 Infestors, and 65 Lings out on the map. So there are certainly some defenses here for All3 to actually take out all of these Marines, but it's going to be a lot to deal with, as we mentioned there. With their stim, with their +1, they're going to be doing a lot of damage, not to mention they'll have +1 to armor shortly. But here comes a big battle here. We've got the Marines being fungled, beautiful Banelings coming off and just blowing apart all of these Marines. Again, beautiful fungals once more, just taking out the rest of these Marines. Given that these Marines were already low on health there, that was perhaps not the best way to engage there for Shroom, actually losing a lot of those forces, getting just completely blasted back down to 98 supply again. And it looks as if he's going to try and run away with the rest of these forces, but they're not going to get out too far. The medevacs are now going to go down to these leftover minerals that are here for All3, and that is going to be it for that. But beautiful job there with those fungals, holding down a lot of the Marines and then letting the Banelings just roll through and blast all over those Marines in a very unsavory fashion. But it looks as if Shroom is now going to head out to the gold expansion here, probably going to try and put this down, get a planetary up. If he can do that, he'll still be in a very good position. That said, he's not in a terrible spot right now. It's just that losing all of those Marines was a big investment for him to sort of take down one lonely hatchery. In fact, I'm not even sure that hatchery was done at the time. But now just pulling in this command center here, going to switch this into a planetary, no doubt. Press that P button. 1, 2, 3, go. Nope. Okay, he's not going to do it just yet. Didn't have enough minerals, but now he does. So he should be able to switching this into the planetary soon, getting a turret down. A mule's just popping in to say hello as well. But now the infestors are going to be out in force, and they're going to be able to do a lot of damage as well. Trying to come inside here, putting down a beautiful fungal. This is going to take out a lot of these Marines here. Not going to let them heal up, of course, with the medevacs in the sky. Does lose all of those infestors, though. That's not a great idea, but did take out a lot of those Marines. Again, pulling Shroom back to 103 supply, but we do have a very lowly supply here for All3 as well. He's currently sitting on 97 supply. The problem he has is that he's just not mining enough. As we can see here, the 4th base is up and running. That's all well and good. He doesn't have a 3rd, and the natural expansion is just about done and dusted. As we can see, the drones are all having fun on one patch each, and pretty sure the drones don't have manners at all. Looks as if he's going to try and run in here with some of these lings. Not a great idea at all. Not really sure what the point is here for All3. He's not going to get inside this base here, especially with the planetary up and running. We got a couple of missile turrets as well, just in case any more mutalisks pop up again. But both of these players sitting in ridiculous amounts of gas at the moment. Shroom currently sitting at just over 2.5k gas, and All3 is currently sitting on around about 700 gas. So these guys need to spend up a little bit more. Of course, it's a little bit more problematic for All3, considering that he has barely any minerals coming in. If he can get his own gold expansion on his side of the map up and running, that'll actually be really good for him. But the problem is, of course, is that on this map with this Zelnaga watchtower here in the middle, you actually get really good vision from the middle, and if you have a tank or two in there, you can actually hit up to the mineral line, and that is a very dangerous thing to have, especially when you're a Zerg stuck on one base and you need to get that gold up and running. So we'll see what All3 is going to do. He's currently getting this 4th up and running, switching the drones across as well. He's going to need to switch them to another base soon, I would assume, because he's way oversaturated here. We got 2 pages of drones, but it looks as if he's going to do what he can with what he has. And of course now with medevac, still not sure what's going on there with the one medevac. We got a 2nd coming out now as well. We've got, okay, we have no reactor on the starport, so he's going to be sitting on a very low number of medevacs for the moment. This does not bode well for his Marines. If he tries to push out too much with the stim there, he's going to lose a lot of those Marines again. Just simple fungals will kill these big groups of Marines, but the problem is getting close enough to actually put the fungals down. We've got 3 tanks in the middle of the map here, as we mentioned, with that vision from the Zelnaga watchtower. He can actually see a great deal here. Can see any of these attack paths. It's not as bad as Old Lost Temple used to be, where you had the two towers that covered every single path on the map. But it is a lot of vision to deal with here. And now it looks as if we've got All3 just taking up to Hive there. He does have a Great Aspire up and running. We don't have any Broodlords just yet. A couple of Corruptors have just popped in. They're probably going to switch across into the Broodlords quite soon. He does have the minerals to get that done. He's not going to have too much problems with actually pushing those through. The one thing he does have to deal with is this massive open area on this map. Of course, as we can see, there is so much open area here. That actually does not work well for Broodlords, because if you can sit with Broodlords over cliffs over these sorts of little crazy little spots where Marines and that sort of thing can't get to, that can actually be really good. And that's the general way you really want to approach Broodlords, is to try and keep them safe and just deal the damage from afar and don't put them in danger. But that is the issue that he's going to have. Where are the Broodlords? There they are. We do have 5 Broodlords now morphing in here for all 3. He's going to have to deal with a lot of Marines on the ground, as we said. If he can keep these Broodlords out of danger, like sitting over here whilst the fungal growths go down from those infestors, that'll actually be really good for all 3. He's going to have a lot of trouble dealing with these if he doesn't do it in that particular fashion, though, especially when he only has this base left over that's mining. He's trying to get this 5th base up and running as well, but he's not going to get too far with that, I wouldn't think. And it looks as if Shroom is well aware that this base could be coming up as well. Picking up a couple of these units, sieging up the tanks off to the side to make sure that he's not going to be flanked in any way, shape or form. Dropping off these units on the top, and now this is going to get a bit hairy for all 3. We'll see what he's going to do. As we said, he's got these 5 Broodlords. If he can manufacture something out of this, this will be a great little victory for him. Takes out the 5th base there. That is all gone now, and he's going to have to sit on this 4th base that's just up here, and that is going to go down pretty quickly, I would assume, as well. Looks like we've got these Marines now heading down the ramp there, getting a fungal on top of one of those Marines. This guy is not happy at all. Now jumping inside the medevac here, not really sure. Okay, he's just trying to get away from these Broodlords. A couple of leftover Marines trying to run down, being a little bit of a Rambo there, but they're not going to get too far. And now it looks as if Shroom is going to retreat for the moment. He doesn't have the optimal setup to take care of these Broodlords up in the sky, and have a look at that. The Broodlords have actually increased to 8 Broodlords. That is a lot to deal with when you have no Vikings at all. Let's have a quick look at what he is actually doing back at base. He does have more medevacs on the way. We've got a Ghost Academy coming through soon as well. Probably going to switch into some Ghosts, do some sniping. That'll be a great way to play that there. If you're not going to get the Vikings, get some Ghosts and do some snipes. They're absolutely insane, as we have all seen from GSL when we saw people like MVP. We've seen people like MMA and Bomber, all these sorts of guys utilizing Ghosts really well. But now it looks as if Shroom is going to try and push through the open side of the base here, where all the creep gymmers are being taken out here. That is great work there by Shroom. He's going to come up to the natural expansion here. We've only got a couple of the spine crawlers there. More Broodlords are morphing in here. I'm really surprised he's committing that many, but he is going to be able to deal with a lot once those Broodlords come into effect here. They're just about to pop out. Marines on the ground. Again, we still only have 2 medevacs that are actually healing up these Marines, and it looks as if the Broodlords are now wailing away at the tanks there. The tanks are certainly going to die, but it looks as if the Broodlords are as well. Not enough there to take care of all of those Marines on the ground. Just absolutely making a meat grinder out of that ramp here. And now, in fact, speaking of meat grinders here, this is going to be very interesting. As we can see, the Marines are actually quite low on health there as well. But the Broodlords are still in a quite decent number here. The Marines just now pushing back to the middle side of the base, and they're going to go down in Bittersweet Symphony, I think that would be. But it looks as if Shroom is now going to be prepared to do a drop on the right-hand side of the map. It looks as if he's going to try and take care of this 4th base. Finally, he'll be able to get that one down after having that up and being a little bit of a thorn in his side. Now these Marines coming through, they are 2-2, so they're going to be doing a lot of damage and taking a lot less damage. The spine crawler is going down quick smart here. Now actually going for the hatchery, and that is going to be that hatchery done. And there it goes, and that is going to be it here for all 3, I would say, because he's now stuck on this particular base. We've got the infestors running around, which are really good with these Broodlords, but the problem is the mobility of these forces are just absolutely abysmal compared to Marines running around in medevacs. They fly in first class, and they get around as quick as you know it. But now we've got... what's going to happen here? We've actually got these Broodlords now pushing down to the side. There is actually not too much to defend this gold expansion there, which is actually all dead anyway. But now with a couple of Ghosts out on the field here for Shroom, he's going to be able to deal with these Broodlords quite easily once they move into open field, and that's going to be the one problematic part of doing this particular style. Look at all of those SCVs. Those guys are having a huge mineral party there. Broodlords are now having a party themselves, sitting up the top of this Zelnaga watchtower, able to take care of all of those SCVs. Now there is a problem with one Viking in the sky. Of course, the Broodlords cannot shoot those blue things at the Viking, but now snipes going off there from Shroom. He's doing a good job sniping out some of the infestors that were there. We didn't see an EMP, I don't think, but either way, he still has quite a decent force to deal with a lot of this. We'll probably see another drop up to the top right base. We'll keep an eye on the minimap to see what happens with that. Looks as if all these SCVs are dying here for Shroom. He's down to 31. A fungal going off. That actually captured a lot of those units. And here he goes, running inside, taking out one of the Broodlords, getting a couple more. A few more snipes going off. There's not enough ghosts to actually take care of these Broodlords. In fact, an extra one just flying in. This guy was late to the party. He had a flat wing. But now the Planetary taken out. It doesn't really matter to Shroom because the gold's already being dealt with already. The heals just farming away at that. Snipes going off again. Fungal on top of almost every single biological unit there for Shroom. And in fact, he is going to lose a lot of these. Now, look at that. Actually taking out a lot of those Marines. This could swing right now, but I'm not actually sure if all three has enough, because all of these racks are now producing a lot of extra Marines. Look at that queue. That is a massive queue of Marines. These guys are actually waiting to get out the door as soon as possible. But now it looks as if all three is actually committed a little bit too far. Of course, it was looking very dire for him as well. But now actually pushing all these units out into the open. As we mentioned there, wide open spaces there for those Broodlords means that the Ghosts and the Marines have free range to move around the map and actually take care of those Broodlords before they can become too much of a further threat. Now, Shroom is actually moving his main base orbital command across to this base over here. There is one Mutalisk on patrol here. This is actually just taking care of all of this, but it looks as if the game is going to end quite shortly anyway, because Shroom is now pushing up here. He's going to check out this fourth base. Is it up and running? No, it's not, but we're going to take out a spine crawler anyway. And now pushing across, he's going to just finish off this game, and that is going to be it for this particular match. What a great game between these two players. A lot of back and forth. We did see some interesting tech switches from both of the players there, finally switching into Ghosts to take care of those Broodlords. Now dropping inside third base, and that is going to be it. But a massive drop there with those Banelings. We didn't actually see that, but I'll put it in a picture-in-picture, but that was quite huge, and there is a GG. So great play there from prOxiShroom, taking out Allthreenvan. I don't know, man. But anyway, great game between those two guys. Hope you enjoy that one. If you have your own replays, please be free to please be sure to send them through to duckvillelol@gmail.com. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, and let me know if you have any feedback for any of the VODs on the channel. Cheers.